Okay, we're going to have a look at the shoot phase next. Now, one thing I didn't mention or make clear in the last video about movement is that when the priority player moves, the other player moves before the shoot phase. The same process works in shooting. The priority guy gets the first shot, then the non-priority. Now, same with charges, etc. Now, the reason for that's unusual. Most sort of miniatures war games don't quite work like that, but it's very important to understand that. Now, the shoot phase, you really got there's like 6 different processes involved here. First thing, you've got to choose a shooting formation. So that's a formation that has bows. Well, not necessarily bows, but has missile weapons, and also hasn't moved more than half their movement distance. If they have moved more than half the movement distance, they cannot shoot in that phase. You've got to choose a target. Now, the target's got to be in range. Now, everybody here is using just bows. Just let me check that. Yeah, they are using bows. I just wanted to check that this doesn't have such a thing as an orc bow, which is present in the strategy battle game. Yeah, so it's basically the short bows, and long bows. So short bow with a range of 18 and a strength of 2. Long bow, range 24, strength of 2. Sorry, bow, range 24, strength of 2. And long bow, range 36 with a strength of 2. There are other types of weapons, like there's blowpipes, crossbows, throwing weapons, but they're all in the shooting weapons section of the manual, so I'm not going to go into any further detail. Okay, so you measure your distance to your target and say, are you actually within range? Okay, next thing is arc of sight. Now, this works on the frame like this. So the long axis of the company, you draw a line out from there in this arc, and if that means if an enemy formation falls into that arc of sight, that means they are a viable target. You can see within here, a shooting formation, not all units may actually be able to fire at the target. For example, here, this company here cannot fire, where these two can, because the target there is in its arc of fire. So if I use the term arc of fire there, it's arc of sight. Monsters' arc of sight, they have a 360-degree arc of sight. So they're different from normal formations or companies. To actually say you can see a target, you've really got to be able to trace a line of fire that doesn't go through any other formations, any defensible terrain or hills. And so long as one point on the target formation, well, no, one point on at least one company in the target formation that's actually in range and into sight, means that formation is a viable target. Now, you do have the option of providing supporting fire, whereas if you had multiple ranks of a formation, the back ranks can provide supporting fire, or if you had a formation where not every single unit, company in that formation could actually see the target, the ones that couldn't are able to provide supporting fire. Now, supporting fire means you add just one extra dice to the number of dice you're going to roll to inflict casualties. Okay, other terrain features that you can have hills and elevated positions. You can nominate sort of buildings or as an elevated position as well. It means that these can actually see over the top of obstructions. If you see this diagram here, you'll see that the forest blocks line of sight for all the sort of targets firing at each other at ground level, but the guy on the hill can actually shoot at both of the targets by shooting over the wood. The same way the guys in the building over there and the guy number one behind that wood there can actually shoot at sea. Okay, the next thing you need to do is calculate the number of dice that are rolled in a shooting attack. Now that depends on a couple of things. Firstly, each company will have a number of shots in its profile. So this one here, this orc company here is actually going to shoot with 8 dice if it's at full strength. If it's at lower strength, say you'd lost a few, like 4 of them, it would only shoot with 4 dice, etc. So it's the number of models left in the actual company's strength. Next thing you need is your accuracy bonus. What you do there is take your shoot value and subtract it from 5, and the result gives you a plus or minus effect, and that plus or minus is the number of extra dice for each company in the formation that's firing. We've already mentioned supporting fire can add an extra dice for each company in a formation that can fire but can't actually see the target, even though other companies in that formation can. Next thing when you do is you roll your dice. You've got to roll to see how many shots will cause a hit on the target. Now, to do that, you work out your to hit value, which is cross-referencing the strength of the company firing, which is based on their weapons. So a bow would have a strength of 2, and then you'd look up the defense value of the actual target, and that gives you a number, and that number is the value that you've got to roll equal to or greater than that. If you see a value with a 6-4, for example, you've got to roll a 6, and then you've got to roll a 4 on a second die to get an actual hit. Now that's because you'll see that if you're attacking monsters, they're very, very difficult to take down. You also have another factor you've got to look into, which is long range. Long range, the strength of the weapon is reduced by 1. For example, bows are strength 2. At range 24, it would be strength 1 if the target's more than 12 inches away. Next thing you have to do is every successful hit, you have a look at the resilience of the target. And say these orcs here, they have a resilience of 1. So for every hit, 1 model is taken away. For cavalry over there, their resilience is 2, so you need 2 hits to remove a model. When you're removing the models, you remove them from either the rear of a formation. So if I was firing at this formation here, I would be taking models away from the back companies here. Now, for the orcs, because they're all in a line, I'd be taking them away from the ends of the formation. Okay, it's up to the defending player to decide what he does. This represents, alright, the actual casualties are taking place in the front, but people are moving forward to fill the gaps. That's what that represents. You can get a situation where the target is actually driven back as a result of shooting. The formation is driven back if one or more companies is removed as a result of the single shooting attack. Formation is driven back, immediately moves a D3 inches directly away from the formation making the shooting attack. If it's been driven back, it will stop if it comes in within 1 inch of another formation or a terrain feature. Note that difficult terrain features do not stop the unit being driven back. You can even be driven back more than once. Okay, that's enough for shooting.